Hello YouTube, this is Ian from the Portsmouth Armory channel, and today we are going to be mixing up a small batch of alloy. It'll be 16 pounds of dead soft lead and 1 pound of tin here. Now if you follow me on my Facebook page, you know that over this past silhouette season I've been shooting a lot of paper patch, and all of that was done with an alloy of 14 pounds of lead and 1 pound of tin, which is what these bullets here are. Now when I was shooting that, I was shooting GoX Old E2F for most of the season, and then I decided to try some Swiss 1.5, and I was really impressed with the way the Swiss performed. The fouling I thought was a little easier to get out, or at least when I did my wiping routine, there was a little bit, the patches were a little cleaner it seemed like, and the fouling may have been softer. So I'm going to go to the Swiss. But it seems like when I started shooting them, when I was recovering my patches, I was getting a little bit of burning on the paper. It didn't seem to affect accuracy very much, or if any, the accuracy is better with the Swiss. But with the Old E, I wasn't getting any burning. So I suspect that the 2F had a little more oomph. The Old E did, and the 2F, it would a little more pressure, initial pressure, which would aid the bullet bumping up, because these are bore diameter bullets. They are 450 after patching. The Swiss may have been a little softer, and they may have not been bumping up quite as fast, and which I think is why I was getting just a little bit of burn marks on them. So I'm thinking if I go with a slightly softer alloy, we will not get any burning on the patches. When I say burning, it's just a minimal amount of it. I was not seeing with the Old E. So we're going to mix up a small batch of 16 pounds of lead and 1 pound of tin, and before I mix up 100 and some pounds of it, I'm going to just try one batch. We're going to put them on paper and see how they shoot compared to the harder alloy that I shoot. I'm going to take you guys outside, show you how I do it. This is just a small batch. I'm going to take you guys out to the range whenever I test these, and we'll see how they do, and then if I like them, we're going to mix up a large batch of 16 to 1. If not, we're just going to go with the regular 14 to 1.
How old are you if you're born in 1824?
Oh, I don't know. She's asking me math. I don't know. Yeah. And I'd also like to go on to say that if you guys have been watching my videos, you know in the early parts of my videos the lighting was terrible. Hell, even this video the lighting's probably not that good. I've got me a lapel mic, so the sound I think is better. We're making some small improvements, but sometime when I get some better lights, some actual lighting for this kind of stuff, for making videos, I want to do a comprehensive series on loading, how I load my black powder cartridge, grease groove ammunition, and paper patch ammunition. I'm going to wait till I get stuff to actually see what I'm doing. If you watch my paper cartridge videos, you can't even see or hear half of what's going on, so that might be something I redo whenever I get some better equipment. But for now, we're just going to go outside. I'm going to mix up, I'm going to throw 16 pounds of soft lead into the pot, and I'm going to throw this bar of tin in there. We're going to weigh out the lead and try to get it exactly 16 pounds, and I'll just show you the process I go through to do this. So before we get started, I'm going to show you some of the equipment we're going to need, or at least the equipment that I use. Here we have some welding gloves, a pair of welding gloves, any kind will do. These are just some cheap ones I got from Lowe's. And then you see up above them are some safety glasses. A face shield would be better, of course, but I don't have one. I'm going to get one, but this is just what I'm going to use for today. Here you see a non-stick muffin pan. That's important. The first time you use it, it'll have a bunch of dimples in it, but it'll get used to it. Now below that you see some bullet lube. That is used for flux, but there's a lot of things that you can use for flux. Sawdust works, beeswax, paraffin wax, but this is some bullet lube I mixed up that I didn't really care for, so I'm going to use it for flux. Beside that you see a ladle. It's obvious what that's for. You're just going to dip that into your lead and pour it into your mold. And then beside that still is a scale. We're going to use this to measure out our lead, get an exact weight of 16 pounds, and then we'll toss that into the pot, and then we'll toss in a pound of tin. And then above that is a spoon, obviously, and that's going to be used to mix up the alloy and kind of scoop out the dross. and clean up the lead. So here we have obviously a propane tank, and then there's a propane turkey fryer next to it. And on top of that is sitting a cast iron skillet. Normally, for larger batches, I will use a large Dutch oven, but for this little 16-pound, 17-pound, we're just going to use this little skillet. And here's a closer-up view of it. It's number 10 is there on the handle. I don't know if what that number represents, but if you're wanting to replicate that skillet, that's look for that number on the handle. Okay, everybody knows you can't be doing this in a hoodie and sweatpants, so let's change into something more appropriate. It told me this would work. Oh, it worked. It kinda. It's got some kinks in it, but I think we'll get it figured out. My mic. Where's my mic? There's the mic. Okay. I don't know if you heard me. We got some kinks, but we're getting it figured out. But you know how this kind of stuff goes. I got my boots on, but where my Crocs aren't there anywhere. Oh, there they are. All right, you can see I've got some more appropriate clothes on now. Finally, I've got FR pants, FR shirt, some welding gloves that need to be replaced, honestly, and I should probably use a full face shield. I've never used one, but I'm going to get one, and really that would be ideal. But for now, we're just going to use these safety glasses. Shouldn't get too much splatter on my face. If I do, well, whatever. And I've also got some closed-toed shoes. Crocs are no good for melting lead in. Ask me how I know. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up. We're going to carefully put our lead into the skillet, and we're going to mix up some alloy. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. First thing we need to do is weigh out our lead. So here you can see my scale. It's a little off, so I like to calibrate my scale before I actually put any lead on it. And I'm just kind of making sure. You can see a burn mark on top of it. I put something hot on there a while ago. So here I'm putting my gloves back on. We're going to place our ingots on there one at a time, kind of space them out, try to get them evenly across the plate of our scale. We're trying to shoot for something as close to 16 pounds as possible. So I'm just going to keep putting stuff on there until I get to there. You can see my last two ingots now. This last one will get me real close to 16 pounds, but it won't be quite 16 pounds. So what you can do is put bullets. I'm using pure lead bullets that I've already cast up to try to get me as close to 16 pounds as possible. And I will get this right on the money, as you can see. I'm just going to keep putting bullets on there until I get that 16 right where I want it, that number or a blade right where I want it, and it's right on that 16. So that is what we're looking for. Now let's attach the hose to the propane tank, turn the propane on, and fire it up. Propane tank is on. Slowly turn the valve, get it lit. And we're lit. While it's on low, let's go ahead and place the skillet onto the fire. Let's carefully put the lead into the skillet. Well, oops. Let's just put those in there too. While this is heating up, just for a little bit, I'm going to put my ingot mold on the skillet, try to dry out any moisture that might be on it. You pour hot lead into that mold, when there's moisture in it, it's going to be catastrophic. Speaking of moisture, let me show you guys something. We've always been told that water and lead don't mix. If you get any water on top of the lead, it will explode and be catastrophic. Lead goes everywhere, nuclear eruptions happen. And I believed that for a while, but here you can see me pouring water onto the lead, and look, nothing happens. Except for the water boils a little bit, floats around in the lead. Lead is heavier than H2O. So pouring any water getting on top of your lead, molten lead, is not necessarily dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it, obviously. I mean, you don't want to just go and throw buckets of water on top of it. But if you're quenching your bullets obviously it's a little bit of splash on top of your lead isn't going to hurt anything. I'll explain this later in my video, so you'll have to stay tuned to hear my explanation. Okay, here the lead's pretty much melted. I don't know if you can see from the camera, but it's turning into some different colors. I had my spoon in a wet environment, so I put it on the burner to heat it up, but you can see as I stir it, it's got some purples in it. Here's my tin. I borrowed a tin. I just kind of, in case it has any moisture on it, I ease it into the lead. And here's another view. You can see it's turning a bluish color, the lead is. That is a sign that the lead is pure. Once the tin melts into it, that color will go away. You won't see that blue color, purple color in lead that has been alloyed. So here the tin has been put in there. It's starting to melt, or it has melted rather. And here I'm just going to mix it in there. Try to stir it up real good. Get everything mixed up as best I can. Now is the time where I'm going to flux it. Here I'm showing you the bullet lube I had in my picture. It's just a bullet lube I didn't like, but it had beeswax in it and some other things, I think lanolin. So I scoop out maybe two peas or thereabouts, a good sized chunk of it, and I throw it into that lead. And we're just going to mix it up. So again, keep stirring everything up. Try to make sure everything's all mixed together real good, and that bullet lube or that flux will try to get all the impurities to the top and get everything clumped together so that I can scoop out what I don't want. I'm running my spoon across the bottom of the skillet, try to get all that stuff out of it. Make sure I just keep as little junk out of the ingots as possible. So here I am just scooping it out, trying to keep as much lead out of the spoon and just keep all that junk in the spoon, and I'm just tossing it to another pot I have, and that'll get dumped out later. Here I'm putting my mold back onto the pot just to keep it hot. Make sure that there's absolutely no moisture in there. Now normally I'd use a ladle to do this, but since it's such a small batch, I'm just going to pour it right from the skillet into the molds. So my mold's been drying out, warming up a little bit. Let's see if I can get you a better view here. Okay, you can see my mold. Right. Let's see. Okay, you can see you can see my mold right here, my muffin pan. I'm going to go ahead and shut the burner off. And because I'm wearing welding gloves, I can do this. You don't want to do this with just regular old work gloves. You will get hurt. My mold muffin pan is dry. It's been sitting on the heat for a while. I'm going to pick this up, and it's heavy. It is almost 20 pounds of lead. I'm going to pour it on in there. Yeah, it even burns through the gloves. Yeah, I need new ones. This one's in better shape, so here we go. Just pour it all in there. Yep, that's still hot. I guess I could have used the ladle, but no worries. Yeah, these gloves are coming apart. Next time I definitely get some new ones before I do this again. You can hear it sizzle a little bit from the ground. The ground's wet. Oop. That's not good. And now having, yeah, these gloves are shot. Had I do this over again, I would have just used the ladle. But this would have been a lot. You couldn't do this at all with a leather glove, just a plain glove. There we go. That's better. It's cooling off quick. And this is how I make my alloy on a smaller scale, I should say. Yeah, in a bigger scale, like I said, I'll use the ladle. I'll have 3 or 4 of these muffin pans set out, ready to go. Alright, that's how I do my alloy. Similar. Like I said, if I was doing it on a larger scale, 80, 100 pounds, I would put a bigger Dutch oven on there. And now, this should go without saying, but if you're watching this video, then I guarantee you're smart enough to know this. But you should never, if you ever use any these cast iron pots to put lead in, it's no good for anything else. This is all it is good for anymore. The water thing, I'm not telling anybody to go out there and just dump water into your lead. I just wanted to illustrate. Here sometimes people will say they don't water quench bullets because they're afraid of water splashing up into the lead. Me personally, I don't water quench because I'm not using wheel weights, or I don't really need a hard alloy. But water hitting the lead on the surface isn't necessarily, it's probably is dangerous, but it's not going to have an explosion like if you were to get a water on a piece of lead or an implement that you're going to use and put that into the lead. That's when you have problems. The moisture that's in the whatever is going underneath the surface of the lead, the moisture in that will expand immediately and it will throw lead everywhere. I know this to be a fact because I've thrown wet things by accident, moist things into the lead, and I was lucky because it was a mess. But I want to do a casting video, show you how I'm going to show you how I cast for these bullets. It's kind of tedious, it takes a while. I do a 10-second pour, and then when the sprue hardens I do another 10-second wait till I open the sprue plate. But I can make some really consistent bullets with it, and I just wanted to share with you guys how I make them. And like I said, sometime in the future when I get better equipment, I want to do a comprehensive video on how I actually load for my black powder cartridge for my silhouette guns, or gun I should say, my high wall. You may have seen an earlier video I made a while ago of load development. I've come a long way since then. I just want to share with you guys some things I've picked up along the way from other people and from just some things I've tried out myself. And in hindsight, doing that without the ladle, with just my hands pouring the skillet, that was kind of stupid. That did burn through the glove a little bit. I won't do that again. I don't recommend anybody else do it. But hey, thanks for watching. I've got some other stuff planned, along with like I said, the comprehensive, the how I load for the black powder cartridge. But that might be a little ways off. I've got some other stuff planned here in the near future. It's been a while since I've made any videos. I'm on a 410 schedule now, so hopefully I can get some out. I'm really looking forward to this season. This is kind of like my YouTube season, shooting season's out, so it doesn't pick up until March. So I'm hopefully, with the weather, coordinating with the weather, I can get some videos out there. I've got some interesting stuff. Hopefully I can get out there. I'm going to try anyways. How's that? But hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.